Temperatures jumped up to 90 degrees today, but it felt a lot hotter than that when you factor in the very high humidity left over from the humid air that worked in, coupled with all the storms this morning that kind of supercharged the humidity to the point where it was almost at tropical levels. So these high temperatures, they felt more like 100 to 110 at times today because of that high humidity, and we're going to see that again tomorrow afternoon. The areas highlighted here, most of our viewing area, with the exception of Boone and Rock counties, will be under a heat advisory from the National Weather Service between noon and 9. So it may take 9 hours before we get some relief from the heat index being up around 100. So of course, heat and illnesses can strike quickly in this kind of heat because it's going to be sticking around for a while, a lot longer than what we had as of this afternoon. So be ready for that, to keep drinking all that water as you'll need it tomorrow and the next couple days. We do have a mainly clear and quiet night ahead with temperatures in the 60s. No storms to worry about going into tomorrow. It's just the heat that we'll be tracking. You can see it ramps up right away in the morning, already feeling like the 90s by noon, then topping out near 100 and then staying there all the way through the evening. It's going to take until about 9 o'clock before we really start to see any relief from that high heat. That's why the heat advisories are going out, because of that prolonged period where we're near 100 with the heat index. So take it easy in the heat. There's a lot of stuff you might already know, but as a little friendly reminder, light colored clothing help reflect some of those sun's rays. Drink lots of water. The Powerade or those kind of sports drinks are handy if you're doing heavy exertion and you're losing a lot of sweat, but water is probably the best in these conditions. Find a spot in the shade as much as possible. If you can't get to a cool spot, you got to work outdoors, and then make sure you're going inside and get into air conditioning if you start to feel unwell. Now, as we look ahead to Friday, like I mentioned, there is the possibility of some strong storms that could return going into Friday evening. As you can see right now, we sit at about a 2 out of 5 all across our viewing area for potential for severe weather. There could be a round that comes through early in the morning that may end up help us stay cooler like we saw early this morning, and that could factor into the temperatures. But right now, Future Track has that out early enough where we recharge, could set the stage for a round of strong storms going into Friday evening. So early and late in the day, be ready for that thunderstorm activity. We'll keep a close eye on it as we go throughout Friday. Friday right now still in the 90s, feeling like 100 with the heat. As we get into the weekend, back to the 80s, humidity's a lot lower, should feel a lot more comfortable. We'll stay near average into next week, though 90 could still appear as we go into the middle of the week in your most accurate 10-day forecast. That may be it, though. Could be just a one-day event where we get into the 90s next week. A lot of average weather, which sounds a lot cooler once we get into next week. In the 4-degree guarantee, just off the bullseye with the heat today, pushing in closer to $250.